The galaxy was dying. No one knew when it began. No one understood where it started. But everyone knew one thing. A strange cosmic plague was spreading fast, moving from star system to star system like a silent shadow. It infected planets, stations, ships, and entire civilizations collapsed in days. Panic rose across the galaxy. Great alien empires, once proud and powerful, now trembled like frightened children. World after world sent emergency calls begging for help. Please, anyone? Medical support needed. Our cities are falling. Our fleets are gone. But every plea disappeared into cold emptiness. No empire answered. No ally stepped forward. Everyone was too scared, too weak, or too selfish to risk helping anyone else. In the middle of this dying galaxy, one small refugee ship drifted in total silence. Its name was the Vishara, a transport ship belonging to a peaceful alien race known as the Revan. Now almost all Revans were dead. Only a few remained alive inside the ship, and even they were starving, weak, and barely conscious. The lights flickered. The engines were dead. Oxygen was low. Hope was almost zero. Inside the command room, Captain Lerna, pale, exhausted, and trembling, sent out one last transmission. It was a simple message. Please, help us. We are dying. She sent it into space knowing the truth. No empire would answer. No alliance remained. Her people were alone. Her hands slowly dropped from the controls. For a moment, she closed her eyes and whispered, "We will not survive this." But then, something happened. A tiny green light blinked on her console. At first she thought it was a malfunction. But the signal grew stronger, clearer, closer. A ship had received their distress call. Her breath caught in her throat. Who is responding? She opened the comm screen, and froze. A small human deep space patrol ship appeared on radar. It was moving directly toward them. Captain Lerna whispered softly, full of disbelief. Humans? Why would humans come? They owe us nothing. The Revan crew gathered around the screen, their eyes wide, confused, and frightened. Some of them shook their heads. Humans are reckless. Humans are dangerous. Humans care only about themselves. Why would they help us? But no one had an answer. The human ship drew closer, its bright white lights cutting through the darkness of space like blades. The Vishara crew held their breath. Their hearts pounded. They had heard stories about humans, warriors, explorers, unpredictable beings from the blue planet Earth. Were they coming to help? Or to finish what the plague had started? The human ship slowed until it hovered quietly beside the Revan vessel. Both ships floated in silence for a long moment, facing each other like two ghosts meeting in the night. Inside the human ship, a small crew prepared their docking sequence. Commander Elias Ward watched the alien ship through the forward screen. He saw its broken hull, its flickering lights, its silent corridors. He saw how bad the situation was. He turned to his pilot. "Life signs?" he asked. "Very weak," the pilot replied. "Maybe 5 or 6 survivors." "And the plague?" "No signs," the medic said. "Their ship is clean. They are dying, but not infected." Commander Ward nodded slowly. "Then we helped them." It was simple for him. Humans did not run from danger. Humans did not ignore cries for help. Even when the galaxy was falling apart, even when others refused aid, humans stepped forward. Inside the Vishara, Captain Lerna could hear the metallic sound of docking clamps connecting. Her heart thudded in her chest. "They are boarding us," she whispered. The Revan survivors backed away from the airlock door. Some held onto each other. Some hid behind broken consoles. Some simply closed their eyes, accepting whatever fate walked through that door. Captain Lerna stood in front, even though she could barely hold herself upright. If humans came with violence, she would face them first. A loud hiss filled the corridor as the airlock slowly opened. Mist poured out. Lights flickered. Footsteps sounded, heavy, confident, unmistakably human. 3 armored human figures stepped into the alien ship. Their suits glowed dim blue in the darkness. They held scanners, not weapons. Commander Ward removed his helmet and spoke in calm, steady words. "We heard your call. We are here to help." The Revan crew stared at him, stunned. Captain Lerna could hardly speak. "But why? Your people are safe. You owe us nothing." Commander Ward shook his head. "No one dies on our watch," he said quietly. "Humanity does not turn its back on the helpless." For the first time in days, the Revan felt something. A warm spark inside their dying hearts. Hope. But just as Captain Lerna prepared to thank him, one of the human soldiers scanned deeper into the ship, and froze. "Commander, You need to see this. Ward stepped forward. The soldier pointed toward a sealed compartment in the back of the ship. Life signs, but not Revan. Something else is inside. A cold chill crawled through the corridor. Captain Lerna turned pale. That room, we never opened it. We thought it was damaged. The door creaked, slowly, loudly, and inside something moved. Commander Ward raised his light. The shadows revealed a shape the aliens never expected. A shape the humans weren't ready for either. Something was hiding on the ship. Something not infected, but dangerous. The screen cuts. Cliffhanger. Humanity had answered the call. But what they found could change the fate of the entire galaxy. The hidden compartment door slid open with a slow metallic groan. Everyone watched, human and alien, frozen in fear. A cold, stale smell drifted out from the darkness. Commander Ward lifted his wrist light, its beam cutting through the dusty air. At first nothing moved. Then, a shape shifted in the shadows. Captain Lerna's eyes widened. We thought that room was sealed. Maybe damaged by the plague. Commander Ward stepped forward carefully. His medic whispered, "Commander, the scanner shows one life sign. Very weak. Not Revan. Human." Ward asked. The medic shook his head slowly. Not human. But close. A soft groan echoed from the darkness. Ward signaled his team. Slow and steady. No weapons. When the humans entered the compartment, they found a small figure lying on the floor. A young alien boy, maybe 10 or 11 years old by human standards. His skin was pale silver. His eyes were half open. He wore a torn uniform with a symbol neither the Revans nor humans recognized. Captain Lerna whispered, shocked. "He is not one of us." "Who is he?" Ward knelt beside the child, checking his pulse. "He's alive, barely. Take him to our ship. He needs medical help now." The child opened his eyes for a moment and stared at Commander Ward with fear and confusion. His cracked voice whispered, "Please, don't leave me." Ward placed a hand gently on the child's shoulder. "You're safe now. We won't leave you." The boy passed out. 2 human soldiers carried him out carefully. Captain Lerna followed them with trembling steps. Why was he on our ship? Who left him here? Ward looked at her. "Let's get all of you stabilized first. Then we'll ask questions." Rescue begins. The humans guided the Revan survivors toward their patrol ship. The moment they entered, warm lights and fresh oxygen hit their faces. Some of the Revans whispered in disbelief. "So bright. So clean. This feels like home." The human medic rushed forward with medical drones. The drones scanned the aliens and injected stabilizing doses. Within minutes, the Revans felt their strength returning. One Revan engineer looked at the medic and said with tears in her eyes, "No other empire helped us, but you did." The medic smiled softly. "It's what we do." Meanwhile, Commander Ward returned to the alien ship. He needed answers. Inside the broken ship, Ward studied the compartment where the child was found. The walls were scratched. Marks showed someone had tried to escape for days. Food packets were scattered on the floor, enough for one person, not an entire crew. Ward muttered, "Someone trapped him here on purpose." The pilot's voice crackled over the comm. "Commander, we finished scanning his DNA. And? He's not Revan. Not infected either. But his genetics show artificial modifications." Ward frowned. "Modified? By who?" "We don't know. But his DNA has traces of the same signature we found in the plague samples." Ward froze. The plague was engineered. This boy was connected to it. He whispered to himself. Why was he hidden on this ship? And why were the Revans left to die? A chill ran down his spine. Something bigger was happening here. The alien captain speaks. Ward joined Captain Lerna in the human ship's medbay. She sat on a bed wrapped in a thermal blanket, her hands shaking. "Captain," Ward said, "I need to know what happened before we found you." She nodded weakly. "We were running from the plague," she began. "We escaped our homeworld right before the infection reached our cities." She paused, tears forming. "We managed to save only a few hundred people in other ships. But our small fleet was attacked." "Attacked?" Ward leaned forward. "By who?" Lerna lowered her head. "We don't know. A dark ship, no markings. They fired at us without warning." Ward's face tightened. "Go on." "They destroyed our escort ships. They damaged our engines. Then, they boarded us." Ward's eyes narrowed. "What did they do?" Lerna pointed weakly toward the compartment where the child was found. "They placed something inside that room. We never saw who or what it was. They locked the door from outside. Then they left. Ward whispered. And they left that boy? Lorna nodded, crying softly. They knew we could not help him. They knew we were dying. Ward clenched his jaw. This wasn't random. This was planned. Someone wanted this boy hidden in a dying ship, right in the path of humanity. The child wakes up. Hours later, the young alien boy opened his eyes in the human medbay. He was connected to tubes and scanners, his body trembling. He looked around, panicked. Commander Ward sat beside him. Easy, Ward said gently. You're safe. The boy stared at him, confused. You helped me? Yes. No one ever helps me, the boy whispered. I am a mistake. Ward frowned. What do you mean? The boy closed his eyes. My name is Kale. I was created in a lab. I was never meant to live free. I was part of the Plague Project. Ward felt his blood run cold. Kale continued, voice shaking. The Plague was Phase 1. I am Phase 2. Captain Lerna gasped from across the room. Ward leaned forward, his voice low and steady. Kale, what is Phase 2? The boy's eyes filled with fear. They created me to activate the next stage. When they send the signal, I will release something far worse. Ward stood slowly. Who created you? Kale whispered only one word. The architects. The room fell silent. Ward looked at his crew. We need to find these architects. And we need to protect this boy. Kale grabbed his wrist. You don't understand, they will come for me. They will kill all of you. Ward looked into the boy's terrified eyes and said softly, let them come. Humanity doesn't run. Cliffhanger ending for Part 2. Suddenly, alarms exploded across the patrol ship. The pilot shouted over the intercom. Commander. Unknown vessels approaching fast. No IDs, no signals. The medic looked out the window, terrified. Black triangular ships were sliding out of warp, silent, deadly, and unmistakably alien. Kale whispered, voice shaking. They found me. Commander Ward stood tall. Everyone to battle positions. Protect the boy. The unknown ships activated their weapons. And the human patrol ship prepared for a fight it should not have been able to win. The alarms continued to scream through the human patrol ship. Red lights flashed. The floor vibrated. Every crew member rushed to their stations. Commander Ward ran to the command deck. His voice was calm but sharp like steel. Report. The pilot's eyes were wide with fear. 3 unknown ships, Commander. Triangle shape, no markings, no signals. Fast, and closing in. Ward knew the type. Silent ships. No IDs. The same attackers who boarded the Revan ship. The same ones who left Kale inside like a trap. They're jamming our long-range comms, the communication officer added. We can't call for backup. Ward turned to the window. The 3 black ships floated outside like dark knives, their hulls absorbing all light. No symbols, no colors, no blinking lights. Only death. Kale, the young modified boy, stood quietly behind the commander. His face was pale. They are architect hunters, he whispered. They exist only for one purpose, to erase evidence. Ward looked back at him. Evidence of what? Kale swallowed hard. Evidence of the plague, evidence of me. The first attack. The nearest hunter ship fired first. A bolt of red plasma streaked across space, hitting the human ship's shields. The entire deck shook violently. Warning screens flashed everywhere. Shields at 80%, the engineer shouted. Another blast hit. Shields dropped to 70%. Ward clenched his jaw. Weapons online? He asked. Online, but weak. We're a patrol ship, Commander. Not a warship. Ward nodded. All right. Then we don't fight to win. We fight to survive. He pointed toward the screen. Pilot, evasive maneuvers. The small human ship spun sharply, dodging incoming fire. But the hunters were fast. Deadly fast. Kale grabbed the edge of a console, struggling to stay on his feet. You can't fight them, he said weakly. They always erase their targets. Ward looked down at him, eyes steady. And humans always protect theirs. Inside the enemy mind. As the ship dodged another attack, Kale experienced a strange sensation. A quiet hum in his skull. A soft pressure behind his eyes. He gasped. They are sending commands, he whispered. To activate me. I can feel it. Ward stared at him. Can you resist? Kale shook his head, terrified. I don't know. Ward knelt in front of him. Listen to me. You're not a weapon. You're a child. You survived things no one else could. Kale's voice trembled. But they created me to obey. If they send the full activation code, I might release something worse than the plague. Ward placed a firm hand on his shoulder. Then we won't let them touch you. A desperate plan. More explosions rocked the ship. Shields at 45%. Engines overheating. We can't take another hit. The hunters pulled into a tight formation behind them, preparing a final attack. Ward turned to his crew. Prepare EMP pulse. The engineer spun around. EMP? Sir, that will shut down our systems too. Ward nodded. I know. But it might disable their weapons temporarily. It's our only shot. Cale looked at him in shock. You're risking your ship. For us? Ward looked at the boy. For you. The engineer activated the EMP charge. Pulse ready, she said. Ward took a deep breath. Do it. The EMP detonated. A massive blue wave spread out from the human ship like a shock ripple in water. Every system flickered. Lights died. Screens went black. For 3 long seconds the patrol ship was dead. Cale held his breath. Then, 1, 2, 3. Systems slowly rebooted. Shields coming back online. Engines restarting. Ward looked at the window. The hunter ships were still there, but struggling. Their weapons flickered. Their engines stuttered. The EMP worked. Pilot. Ward shouted. Now. Full burn. The pilot slammed the controls. The human ship blasted forward, engines roaring. But the hunters quickly recovered. They turned sharply and gave chase. A message hidden in the plague. In the medbay, Cale suddenly grabbed his head. Voices filled his mind, digital whispers, sharp commands, signals he could not ignore. He saw images. A lab. Scientists in black armor. A giant organic machine pulsing with light. He saw his own face on a computer screen. Then a phrase appeared in his mind, repeating over and over. Phase 2, Universal Reset. Cale screamed. Ward rushed toward him. What is it? What did you see? Cale looked terrified. Commander, the plague was just the beginning. He took a shaky breath. The architects made something bigger. Something that can wipe entire star systems. Ward froze. Where is it? Cale shook his head. In a hidden station. They want me to activate it. That's why they're hunting us. Ward's eyes hardened. Then we must reach that station before they do. Cale looked confused. You want to stop the architects? Humans want to fight them? Ward stood tall. Humanity doesn't run from monsters. The hunter boarding. Suddenly, a loud clang echoed through the ship. The pilot paled. Commander, they attached a boarding clamp. One of the hunter ships is pulling us in. Ward activated internal defenses. Prepare for close combat. Red lights flashed. Metal groaned. A steel tube connected the 2 ships. Cale shook with fear. They're coming for me. They won't stop. Ward placed a hand on his shoulder. They'll have to get past us first. The boarding door exploded inward. Dark armored figures stepped inside, tall, faceless, silent. Hunter soldiers. They moved like shadows, their armor covered in black glyphs. One pointed directly at Cale. There, it said in a cold metallic voice. Cale whimpered. Ward stepped in front of him. You're not taking him. The hunter soldier tilted its head. You cannot protect him. He belongs to us. Ward's voice dropped low and dangerous. Over my dead body. The hunters raised their weapons. The human crew raised theirs. For a moment, everything was silent. Then, the battle began. Cliffhanger ending for Part 3. Sparks flew. Blaster fire lit the corridors. Humans fought with everything they had. One hunter broke through the defense line and reached for Cale. Cale screamed, and something inside him activated. His eyes began to glow. Energy pulsed through his veins. The hunters froze. Commander Ward stared in shock. Cale whispered, I can't control it. A powerful wave of energy exploded from his body, and everything went white. Everything was white. No sound. No movement. Just a bright, endless light spreading through the corridor. The moment Cale released his energy, every hunter soldier was thrown backward. Their bodies smashed into walls, their weapons flying from their hands. The shockwave shook the entire ship. Commander Ward covered his face as sparks rained from the ceiling. His ears rang. His vision blurred. When the light faded, the corridor was filled with smoke. The hunter soldiers lay scattered across the floor, stunned, motionless, or possibly dead. Their armor was cracked. Their black helmets were shattered. Ward slowly lowered his arm. Cale, are you okay? But Cale sat on the floor, shaking violently, eyes glowing faint silver. I didn't mean to, he whispered. I can't control it. They made me a weapon, a living trigger. Ward crouched beside him. You saved us. Cale looked up, confused. But I hurt them. I hurt everyone. No, Ward said firmly. You protected us. There's a difference. Cale lowered his head. He didn't believe it. The hunters retreat. Suddenly the ship shook. The pilot shouted over the intercom. Commander, the remaining hunter ships are pulling back. They're disengaging. Ward stood and looked through the window. The 2 hunter ships that stayed outside were drifting away, their engines glowing dark red. They were retreating, but not fleeing. They were repositioning. Observing. Waiting. They're not done with us, Ward muttered. Cale nodded weakly. They never stop. The communication officer ran toward Ward. Sir. They broadcast a message before retreating. Ward frowned. What message? The officer swallowed nervously. It said, Phase 2 retrieval will continue. Humanity must not interfere. Ward clenched his jaw. Humanity will not interfere? They were threatening Earth. Threatening every human in the galaxy. Not acceptable. Earth responds. Ward activated long-range communications. Send priority alpha signal to Earth. Full report. We need reinforcements. The officer nodded and began transmitting. Moments later, the main screen lit up. A group of high-ranking officials from the United Space Council appeared. Humans in formal uniforms. Faces tense. Eyes sharp. The Council Chancellor spoke first. Commander Ward, we received your emergency report. She paused. What you discovered is shocking. Ward replied firmly. The galaxy is in danger. The plague wasn't an accident. Someone made it. And this child, Cale, is the key. Another council member leaned forward. And these attackers? You said they called themselves Architect Hunters? Ward nodded. Yes. They tried to take Cale. They would destroy anyone who protects him. The Chancellor looked at Cale, who stood quietly beside Ward. Child, are you aware of how dangerous your creators are? Cale looked down. Yes. They made the plague. They made me. They want to reset the galaxy. The council chamber fell silent. Finally, the Chancellor spoke with a steady voice. Commander Ward, you will not fight this alone. Ward straightened. The Chancellor continued. Humanity will step forward. We will send a rescue fleet, medical ships, and defensive cruisers. Ward blinked. Are you sure? Every alien empire refused to help, she said. But humanity will not stand by. We will protect the innocent. We will fight this threat. Cale stared in disbelief. You will help the galaxy? Even after they abandoned each other? Ward smiled softly. We're humans. It's what we do. The first fleet moves. Hours later, the sound of warp drives filled space. One by one, large human ships appeared. Cruisers, medevac carriers, patrol destroyers, and long-range scanners. A massive fleet. The Revans in the medical bay watched through the window with tears in their eyes. So many ships. They came for us? Humans actually came? Captain Lerna whispered. When our own allies refused us, humans saved us. Ward stood in the command center of his ship as the fleet formed around them. His pilot smiled in awe. Looks like Earth sent everyone. Ward nodded. We'll need them. Cale's warning. In the med bay, Cale sat alone, knees pulled to his chest. He could feel something inside him, something growing, like a small burning star. Ward entered quietly. Cale, he said. You okay? Cale shook his head. I feel something. A pull. Like a signal calling me. Ward sat beside him. From the architects? Yes. Cale looked terrified. They're activating Phase 2. I can feel it. Ward frowned. What is Phase 2 exactly? Cale swallowed hard. It's not a plague. A machine. A world breaker. A device that can erase whole star systems. Ward felt the air leave his lungs. A superweapon. Cale nodded. They need me to activate it. They built my biology to connect with it. Ward's eyes hardened. We're not letting that happen. Cale trembled. You don't understand. If they get close, they can control me. My body responds to their signals automatically. Ward placed a strong hand on his shoulder. Then we keep them away. The human fleet will protect you. Cale looked doubtful. The hunter ships, they will call the architects. And when the architects arrive... He hesitated. Ward asked softly. When they arrive, what happens? Cale whispered. Nothing survives. The architects make their move. Suddenly, alarms erupted again. The pilot yelled. Commander. Massive warp signatures detected. Not hunters. Much larger. Ward ran to the command deck. On the main screen, space began to distort. Black cracks formed like glass breaking in the vacuum. Then, giant ships emerged. Not cruisers. Not warships. Something ancient. Something wrong. Something alive. Their hulls pulsed with dark energy. Their shapes twisted unnaturally as if grown, not built. Cale gasped. No. No, no, no. Ward stared in horror. What are those? Cale's voice returned as a whisper of pure fear. The architects. The ships turned their glowing cores toward the human fleet. Cale trembled violently. They're here for me. Ward stood firm. Well, they'll have to get through humanity first. The architect ships charged their weapons. Light built. Space twisted. Energy grew to terrifying levels. Ward raised his voice across the ship. All units, prepare for battle. Humanity stands today, or we fall. Everyone braced. Cale clutched Ward's arm. Commander, if they activate me while firing, I might destroy everything. Ward looked into the boy's frightened eyes. Then we'll protect you. Even if it costs us everything. And the architect ships unleashed their first attack. The human ship Horizon 1 moved deeper into the ruined alien territory. Everywhere around them, dead star systems floated like broken bones. The cosmic plague had touched everything, leaving only cold silence. Inside the ship, the human crew felt the weight of responsibility more than ever. They had promised to help. They had promised to save lives. But now the question was, how? The weak signal. Just after leaving the refugee vessel, humanity detected a strange energy pulse. It was very weak, almost invisible. But the pulse was repeating like a heartbeat. Dr. Lien studied the readings. It is not a plague signal, she said slowly. It is something else, maybe a message. Captain Rhea asked, a distress call? Dr. Lien shook her head. No. This is a warning. The room fell silent. A warning from who? Or from what? Before anyone could speak, the pulse repeated. This time stronger, like it was calling them specifically. Navigator Jiro looked up with wide eyes. Captain, the signal is guiding us. It wants us to follow. The crew knew the risk. This region of space was infected. Any wrong step could destroy them. But humanity had already stepped forward when others had not. Backing away now was not an option. Captain Rhea took a deep breath. Follow the signal. The ruins of an empire. The pulse guided them to the ruins of a massive alien station. The station once belonged to the Aurelian Empire, one of the oldest and most advanced races. But now, it was dead. No lights. No movement. No heat. Like a giant corpse floating in the darkness. Yet the pulse came from inside. Commander Hale tightened his suit. Why would someone inside send a warning? What's here? No one had the answer. Not yet. As Horizon 1 approached the station, the docking clamps slowly opened, as if the station had been waiting for them. The crew exchanged nervous glances. Prepare boarding, Captain Rhea ordered. Inside the silent station, the air was stale. The corridors were cold. Dust floated like ghostly snow. The team walked slowly, lights cutting through layers of darkness. Then they found something strange. Lines on the walls. Symbols. Marks made by claws or tools. Dr. Lien touched one carefully. These are not Aurelian symbols, she whispered. This handwriting, it is almost human. The team froze. How can humans be here? Hale asked. Before they could think deeper, the pulse returned, this time echoing through the corridor speakers. A broken voice spoke. If any life can hear this, stop the plague. The voice faded. Everyone stared at each other. Human voice? Alien voice trying to speak human? The message came again weaker. Plague is not natural, it was created. Dr. Lien's hands shook. Created? Then someone made this plague. Captain Rhea whispered. What? And who? The answer came from the shadows. The survivor. A door slid open on the side. A tall figure stepped out, weak, shaking but alive. An Aurelian scientist. His skin was pale blue. His breathing was rough like sand. But his eyes were full of fear. You humans, he whispered. You should not have come. Commander Hale moved forward. We received your warning. We came to help. The alien scientist almost laughed. Help? No, you came to a grave. Dr. Lien asked softly, what happened here? The scientist looked at them, and then at the dark corridor behind him. The plague, it is intelligent. Everyone stopped breathing for a moment. He continued, voice trembling. It spreads through energy, through thoughts, through fear. We tried to destroy it, but it learned. So we tried to hide, but it found us. A low hum vibrated through the floor. The scientist's eyes widened with terror. It knows you are here. Captain Rhea stepped forward. We want to stop it. Tell us how. The scientist looked at her with sadness. Humanity has a strange heart, he whispered. You help others even when they give you nothing. But this enemy, it does not want help. It wants silence. It wants the galaxy empty. The hum grew louder. Lights flickered. Something moved in the darkness behind the scientist. A shape. A shadow. A living cloud of shimmering black dust. The plague itself. The scientist shouted. Run. But it was too late. The plague creature surged forward like a living storm. Commander Hale raised his weapon. Fall back. Fall back. The humans retreated, but the plague shape followed, fast and silent. Captain Rhea looked back at it in horror. It's hunting us. Dr. Lien whispered the truth none of them wanted to say. It doesn't want the galaxy dead. It wants the galaxy empty so it can live alone. Cliffhanger ending of Part 5. The human team raced toward the exit, alarms screaming through the station. The plague creature crawled along the walls, shadows bending around it. Every system in the station woke up as if screaming for them to escape. As they reached the docking door, Captain Rhea shouted, "Seal the hatch. Now." The door began closing. But just before it locked completely, a thin dark tendril slipped through the gap, reaching toward the humans. The black tendril slid through the hatch like liquid shadow. It reached inside the human ship before anyone could react. For a moment, the lights flickered. Then the ship shuddered violently. Shields at 50%. Brace yourselves, shouted the pilot. The crew gripped consoles, weapons, and rails as alarms blared. Kale stood frozen, his hands glowing faintly silver. He could feel the plague's energy twisting toward him like a predator closing in. His pulse raced, his breath shallow. Commander Ward stepped in front of him, eyes sharp. No. You're not alone this time. Humanity fights together. The boarding begins. The tendril exploded into the ship's corridor, splintering metal and leaving a dark mist in its wake. Human soldiers moved quickly. They raised their weapons, firing bright blue plasma bolts, but the plague seemed almost untouchable. It split and merged, flowing through the corridors, seeking Kale. Ward shouted orders. Contain the breach. Seal the corridors. Everyone to defensive positions. The crew split into teams. Some went to reinforce the shields. Some ran to evacuate the civilians still aboard. Others moved toward the plague itself, ready to fight even when defeat seemed inevitable. Kale whispered, almost to himself, I can feel it. It's inside me, controlling me. Ward crouched beside him. You are stronger than them. Remember who you are. Humanity is behind you. We don't let fear control us. Kale clenched his fists. Energy pulsed stronger in his veins. He realized he could fight back, but if he lost control, it could destroy the entire ship. The human counterattack. Human soldiers advanced slowly, working as one precise machine. They fired pulse rifles and set containment charges, trying to corral the creature into a single area. Lieutenant Hara, leading one team, shouted, Commander, it's too fast. It's absorbing our energy weapons. Ward gritted his teeth. The only way to stop it is close-range containment. I need volunteers. Hands raised quickly, every crew member knew the risk. Fear didn't stop them. Humanity had trained for the impossible. They were willing to die to protect others. Ward turned to Kale. You may be our only weapon. Focus, Kale. Let them feel your will. Kale's energy flared. The dark tendrils recoiled as if the plague itself sensed a stronger force. For a brief moment, the humans gained ground. The sacrifice. The plague shifted again, faster this time, sending a wave of force through the corridor. It slammed into the soldiers, knocking several back. Ward realized what had to be done. We can't hold it long enough to evacuate everyone. He looked around. Someone has to overload the containment systems, close the reactor and draw its energy away from the ship. Kale's eyes widened. Commander, you can't. You'll die. Ward shook his head. Humans don't run from duty. Someone has to make a stand. The medic, Lieutenant Voss, stepped forward. I'll do it, she said. Her hands were steady, her eyes burning with determination. I volunteered for this. We trained for this scenario. Ward nodded. Go. Seal the reactor. Draw it toward the containment chamber. Voss moved quickly, wires and consoles glowing as she set the ship's core to overload. The hum of the ship became deafening. Kale fights back. Kale's energy flared brighter. The plague recoiled but surged again. It wrapped around him, trying to take control. But this time, Kale remembered Ward's words. He focused, not on fear, not on destruction, but on protection. A wave of silver energy burst outward. The plague shrieked, twisting in pain. It couldn't touch Kale. Not when he willed himself to fight it. The black shadow split apart and lunged toward the reactor chamber. Ward watched from the bridge. Kale, focus. Push it into the containment field. Kale did, letting his energy flow directly into the reactor's magnetic containment field. The ship shuddered violently. Metal groaned. Lights flickered. Every system strained to its limit. The explosion. The containment chamber overloaded. A massive wave of energy surged outward, pushing the plague into a single vortex of force. The ship trembled. Alarms screamed. Then, silence. The explosion ripped through the ship, consuming the plague's energy. The dark tendrils were gone. The ship's systems went dark for a long moment. When the lights returned, the human crew looked around. They were battered, wounded, but alive. Kale sat on the floor, trembling, drained, but still breathing. Ward walked toward him. "You did it," he said quietly. "You saved everyone." Kale shook his head. I don't know if I controlled it, or if it controlled me." Ward placed a hand on his shoulder. "No. You chose to fight. That's what matters. That's humanity." The crew cheered softly, exhausted but victorious. They had faced something that should have destroyed them all, and survived. The aftermath. The human ship drifted near the ruined alien station. The surviving Revans and civilians stared out the windows. For the first time in weeks they felt safe. The plague that had killed their worlds, hunted their people, and destroyed civilizations, was gone. Captain Rhea looked at Kale. "You're safe now. You're not a weapon. Not anymore." Kale whispered, voice trembling. "But they'll come back. The architects, the hunters." Ward nodded. "We'll be ready. Humanity doesn't wait for danger to arrive. We step forward. We protect. We fight." Kale's eyes filled with tears. "For the first time, I feel hope." A warning from beyond. Just as the crew began repairs, a soft signal appeared on the long-range scanner. A message. Ancient. Digital. Alien. Red. Phase 3 is prepared. You are not alone. The architects watch. Humanity must decide, fight or die. The room fell silent. The humans exchanged looks of determination. Every single crew member understood the message. The galaxy was not safe yet. The architects were still out there, planning something far worse than the plague. Ward looked at Kale. "This fight is bigger than any of us. But if anyone can face it, it's humanity. We never back down. We never leave the helpless behind. And we never stop fighting." Kale nodded. "For the first time. I believe that too." Cliffhanger ending for Part 6. Outside the ship, in the darkness of space, 3 shadowy figures appeared. They were huge. Towering. Alien. Their presence alone bent space around them. Kale's eyes widened. "They're here. The architects." Ward tightened his grip on the console. "Then we step forward. Together." And the human fleet prepared for the fight that could decide the fate of the galaxy. The human fleet floated silently among the stars, a shining beacon against the dark expanse. Every ship was battle-ready, engines glowing, shields humming, and weapons charged. Commander Ward stood on the bridge of Horizon 1, staring at the massive shapes approaching. The architects had arrived. Ships unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen, alive, pulsating, and terrifying. Their hulls bent light. Energy radiated from them like the sun compressed into darkness. Kale stood beside Ward, trembling, his silver energy flickering softly. He could feel the architect's influence even from a distance. Their presence reached into his mind, whispering, commanding. Ward placed a steady hand on Kale's shoulder. "Remember, Kale. Humanity fights together. We don't give up. We don't leave anyone behind." Kale nodded weakly. I will try." The architects attack. Suddenly, the largest architect ship fired. A wave of energy surged through space, tearing through empty void like a giant blade. Shields across the human fleet flared, absorbing most of the impact, but some smaller vessels disintegrated instantly. "Status?" Ward shouted. "Shields holding, but energy levels are dropping fast," the engineer yelled. "Weapon systems at 70%. We can't take much more." Ward clenched his jaw. "Then we don't fight to survive. We fight to win. The human fleet advanced, engines screaming, cutting through the darkness like silver arrows. The architect ships fired again, but the humans dodged, coordinated, and struck back. Kale's energy flared brighter, his silver aura spreading through the command bridge. The architect's influence tried to control him, but he resisted, focusing on protecting the humans, not himself. A massive wave of energy exploded from Kale's body, striking the nearest architect ship. It shuddered. Its shields flickered. It recoiled in shock, first time the architects had faced real resistance. The turning point. The human fleet pressed the attack. Long-range missiles, plasma cannons, and experimental human weapons lit up space. Every shot was precise, every move coordinated. The humans were small in number, but their spirit was enormous. From the bridge of Horizon 1, Ward shouted over the alarms. All units, target their command nodes. Focus fire. Protect Kale at all costs. Kale's silver energy grew. He stood at the edge of the bridge, hands outstretched, pushing the architect's energy back. The humans watched in awe. He was no longer a child. He was a shield, a weapon, and a symbol of hope. The architects faltered. Their massive ships slowed, their attacks became chaotic. For the first time in history, something in the galaxy had defied them, and it was humanity. Humanity's sacrifice. Not every human ship would survive. Some smaller vessels moved directly into the path of the architect's attacks, drawing fire away from the main fleet. Explosions lit the void as brave crews gave their lives to protect the rest. Commander Ward watched each one, heart heavy but resolute. This was the essence of humanity: risk everything to save others even when hope seemed impossible. Kale floated in the command bridge, glowing brighter than ever. He absorbed the energy of the destroyed architect ships and reflected it back at their fleet. Each beam struck with precision, disabling multiple nodes and engines. The architects tried to reach him, but they were too late. Humanity had learned their strength, and they would not surrender. The architects fall. One by one, the massive architect ships began to break apart. Hull panels ripped. Energy reactors exploded. Their massive alien voices screamed through space, warning, commanding, threatening, but humanity advanced relentlessly. Kale, exhausted, sank to the floor. His aura faded. But the humans rallied around him, keeping the remaining architects from reaching him. Ward looked at the final architect ship. Its core glowed intensely, preparing a massive energy pulse capable of destroying the human fleet. He whispered to his crew, "This is it. Every human alive, every ship, every weapon, everything we have, now." The fleet unleashed all energy, every missile, every cannon, every experimental weapon firing at once. The architect core shuddered, overloaded, and exploded in a blinding flash. Silence fell across space. The black ships were gone. The architects had been defeated. The galaxy awakens. Stars return to their normal glow. The plague had no source now, its creators destroyed. The black shadow over the galaxy lifted. Kale stood slowly, trembling but alive. He looked at the humans around him, their faces exhausted but triumphant. Captain Lerna approached Ward. "You saved the galaxy. Humanity actually did what no one else dared." Ward nodded. "We didn't save it for glory. We saved it because it was right. Because we never leave the helpless behind." Kale whispered softly, I can finally feel hope." Ward smiled. "That's the power of humanity. We survive. We fight. We help. We step forward when no one else will." A new alliance. The surviving alien empires began sending messages, cautiously at first. They watched humanity, surprised and humbled. They had abandoned the galaxy in its darkest hour. Now they saw the humans rebuild, restore, and heal worlds. One by one, they joined the humans' efforts, contributing to reconstruction, sharing knowledge, and forming a new alliance. Captain Lerna whispered to Ward, "They trust us now. Humanity leads them, but not as conquerors. As protectors." Ward looked at Kale and then at the fleet. "This is just the beginning. The galaxy is ours to protect. Not to rule but to serve. And we will." The HFY moment. Kale, once a weapon, now stood as a symbol of hope. The humans, small in numbers compared to the galaxy, had done the impossible. They had faced death, faced monsters, and faced the architects themselves. They had fought not for power, not for conquest, but for the helpless, the weak, and the abandoned. And now the galaxy would remember them. Not for their ships, their weapons, or their strength, but for their heart. Ward turned to his crew. "Remember this day. Remember that when everyone else refused, humanity stepped forward. We protect. We fight. We endure. And we never give up. Kale smiled faintly. For the first time. I know what it means to live freely. Closing scene. The human fleet glided through the stars, engines glowing softly in the darkness. Planets once lost to the plague now began to show signs of life. Civilizations would rebuild. The galaxy would heal. And somewhere in the quiet of space, a single thought echoed across every human ship. When the galaxy lost hope, humans carried it. The camera pans across thousands of stars, the human fleet shining like silver threads connecting the galaxy. The darkness is still out there. But humanity has shown one truth: they will always step forward. End of Part 7, Epic HFY Conclusion.